Okay, tonight we're learning the Nishmas Yechil Yisrael, Michael Ben Paula Harari. All right, Shalom Aleichem everyone. You had Rabbi Lamb last week and the week before, right? All right, I was in Eretz Yisrael. Amazing, amazing, amazing time. I was for Shabbos by Shimon by Yochai, by Meron, and actually there's a Zohar that we're going to learn tonight, very deep, very special Zohar. That I learned on the mountain. He's supposed to learn Zohar on his yard site, so on his Hilula. So I want to go over a very, very beautiful Zohar. And but before that, I'd like to talk about a couple of different items. Things that one of the things that happened on the trip that I think is very important for all of us. And I'm not telling you this story because of me, but I'm telling you the story because I think that's a very important lesson that we all need to learn. Very, very important lesson. So I haven't seen a movie in about 14 years, maybe 15 years. I don't go to movies. I don't rent DVDs. I don't watch movies. It was one of my struggles when I was young. Baruch Hashem, I gave it up 14, 15 years ago. But as a little boy, I was very into science fiction. And the science fiction that I was into was Middle Earth. Middle Earth is Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. And unusual, I don't know, I found it in the library and I started reading it, and it starts off with a book called The Hobbit. It talks about these little people that lived in Middle Earth. Doesn't make sense that I should be interested at that age, but I was. Goblins and orcs and elves and all kinds of stuff. And then after The Hobbit, there's a trilogy called The Lord of the Rings, and the Fellowship of the Ring, and the Two Towers, and the Return of the King. There's no shaila that Tolkien, somehow got a hold of some Kabbalah, because if you understand what he wrote, I understood that much when I was much older. It's of course the war of the good and the bad, and Gollum is the name of the Gollum, so to say, the Gollum, where he's fighting within himself, my precious, and the power of the ring, which is covered in strength and power, which destroys the person who wears it, which we know that Taiva and covered Maitzina Saddam and Ilam. And there's a lot of stuff in there that he stole. There's nothing to talk about. There's a place called Zion. There's the Return of the King, which is by him Mashiach, the Return of the Kingdom. And I was fascinated by it, and as an 11-year-old boy, had read, these are 4 books, and they're thick books, had read these 4 books probably about 15 times. I knew it, by the time I was 13, 14 years old, I could draw Middle Earth without the book. Mishigas. But I could do it. So it's just something that I always enjoyed very, very much. Science fiction, out of this world, a different world. You know, champions, fighting the bad, fighting the darkness. The 2 wizards, one's the white wizard, one's the gray wizard who becomes the white wizard against the black wizard. The gray wizard is not on the level of the white wizard. Some very interesting things this guy wrote. So, many years ago, they came out with the movie The Hobbit in a cartoon, which I wasn't interested in watching. I was an adult. I'm not watching cartoons. Then they came out with the trilogy, the Lord of the Rings. But they never came out with The Hobbit as a movie. And The Hobbit's the first book. So I get on a plane, coming back from Eretz Yisrael, very holy, Kaddish-tika trip. I can't even explain to you. I landed there on Tuesday with a Vasikin in the morning, actually 2 hours before mikveh, and then 2 hours before Vasikin. Just sitting there, I'm just picturing it by the wall, and it's quiet, it's 60 degrees, you could dive in, you could just connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You could just connect to God. And for me, it's like, you know what I say, if you're looking for an outlet to plug in your electronics, where do you look? In the wall. Right? So for me, the plug to rejuvenate and to get my power back is in the wall. Of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's not the wall, it's the Makam HaMikdash. And I was on a big high. Friday we drove up to Meron. I was there for Shabbos. Just Shabbos on the mountain and davening and learning Zayar and connecting, and the Kedusha was amazing. Leaving Meron was not so amazing. It took 4 hours, 5 hours. And, okay, so after all that high, I'm on a plane. And it's an 11-hour flight. And I happen to have slept Sunday, the day I left, because I was up a whole night in Meron coming back from Lag BaOmer. So I wasn't that tired. I get on the plane. I get into my seat. Big screen in front. And I know I can't. I take my Svarim out, but my head's not there. And I have earphones, these very fancy earphones. I plug them in. You know, maybe I listen to some music. They have Israeli music, whatever. I need to do something to, the time. And they also have a map as the plane leaves. You can see it as it moves. But you can't look at that for 11 hours. You got it in mind. 38,000 feet. And then 37,000 feet, it changes every second, make it crazy. So there it is in front of me, a screen. And it says TV, movies, music, and then flight information. I can't tell you why, but I'm a human being. So I push flight information, shows the plane, everything. Then I push music. And they have this one station, Israeli music. So I said, okay, we'll check that out when I get to it. Then I push TV. Shows like 4,000 different shows. And then I push movies. It's 3 movies. Brand new releases. The Hobbit.
Oh, you knew it. You knew it was coming.
The Hobbit.
I guess that's where you started, or you opened up talking about.
And there I am on a plane, and the movie that I'm dreaming to watch is sitting in front of me. No one will ever know that I saw it. I'm sitting by myself, and the section I was sitting in, there were there were a few here, and there were no one I knew. And there it is, and I'm like, it's not a movie theater. It's not a DVD. I'm not bringing it into my house.
And you're a captive audience.
Come on. You haven't seen a movie in 15 years. There's no women in it. There's no dirty language in it. They talk Middle Earth. There's some violence. It's not the end. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. All right, let's plug in. Hashem's my witness. I stick the earphones in. I put them on my ears. Crackling, crazy, loud noise. Wants to put it in upside down. Turn it over, plug it in. Crackling noise. So I said, okay, Hashem, you're not even giving me bechira. I can't watch a movie with all that noise in the earphones. I can't, right? So I'm like, I see everyone around me, they're all plugged in, and they're listening on their earphones, and everything's perfect. My seat's broken. So the steward walks by, and he sees me taking the plug and replugging it in. He says, oh, no, you're plugging it in the wrong way. And he plugs it in. I said, no, it's not that I can't hear anything. There's a crackling noise. He puts it on and goes, oh, wow, there's something wrong with this unit. So I'm like, okay, so it's not in the song. I can't watch. I can't listen. He says, no, let's try. Maybe it's the earphones. Goes up, gets another earphone, plugs in, it's making the same noise. I'm like, Kosh Baruch Hu, wow. It's amazing. Of all the things that are broken, the one, right? Okay. So we've all gone through that test of should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? Oh, you know what? I can't. Whatever, I can't. And then all right, so fine. So I plug it out, and I'm leaning back.
Should have asked for a free ticket.
10 minutes later, the purser, that's the head of the head guy, he comes over to me and he says, Mr. Wallerstein, each one of these units you can reset. I'm going to go back and reset it. And before I could say no, yes, no, whatever, he resets it. So I plug it in, and there's no noise.
Hello?
He fixed it. The Zecharia was like, hey, you let Wallerstein get off so easy. He has to make a choice. Okay. So there I am. There's the Hobbit. 2 hours and 40 minutes, perfect. Just the right amount of time to waste watching a movie and then fall asleep. And I'm in this crazy struggle. And I want to tell you what stopped me after 15 years from watching a movie I really wanted to watch. I learned a long time ago. Something that the Kabbalah talks about and other Svarim talk about. I think it's crazy lesson. Now when you talk to people and you give Musar, or not Musar, direction, that the power of a person is not what comes out of his mouth, but the power of a person is what comes out of his heart and what comes out of his soul. So Rabbi, for instance me, let's say, if I were to get up and talk against Facebook, but I myself quietly and secretly, without anyone knowing under somebody else's name, if I would have Facebook, then no matter how I scream and how I yell, and no matter how many people will walk out of my shir excited and I'm turning off my Facebook, it will not last. Why? Because when you speak to someone, what comes out of my mouth is not what's going to help anybody in this room. It's what comes out of my heart that's going to help anyone in this room. So, if the water that I'm giving you is tainted, because I myself are not keeping what I'm giving you, then it will not, its medicine, its power, will not go into your soul and change your soul. So you'll come out and say, great shir. You won't even realize why, after you made a decision, let's say movies, right? Let's say I were to watch that movie, The Hobbit. And I would come in tonight and give you a shir. Not tonight, in a year from now. And give you a shir about DVDs and movies. And you would say, wow, fantastic. I'm going home, I'm throwing all out my DVDs, and you do. And 4 weeks later, you're again watching DVDs, and you're thinking that's because you're not strong enough. And you're wrong. It's because I wasn't strong enough. Because my shir that came out of my heart and my soul, when it went into you, there was a part of it that was broken. Because I watched a movie. There was a part of it that was tainted because I watched a movie. So it's not going to give you the full medicine effect. And you're going to crack later, not even knowing that the Rebbe that was standing in front of me screaming about Shmiras Einayim, not to look at women, he himself was looking at women. So that when you break 2, 3, 4, 6 months, a year later, and you can't keep it anymore, it's because the shir that changed you had a little bit poison in it. So there I am, sitting in front of the screen, 38,000 feet above the earth.
37, 5,000.
No, it was 38 something. And thinking to myself, if you watch this movie, all your Talmidim and all the girls you will ever speak about DVDs and movies, you will not be able to help them. It's 2 hours and 50 minutes worth that you will lose your koyach of helping kids when it comes to movies. And the answer was no. The Hobbit is just not worth that. And I turned it off, and I pulled out the earphones, and I felt like $1 million, because a servant can never say no. A servant can only say yes. And a free man, a person who's free, he can say no whenever he wants to. That was very, very big. And you need to know as parents, Mitzvah Hashem, those who are parents, and those who are not parents, and those who are chavrusis, that it's ringing. Could it be ringing if it's on?
No, we got disconnected.
Yeah? I think so. Doesn't look like it, no.
I don't connect. That was called Russian.
Yeah, but it's on.
Yeah, I think we're just
Okay.
We're back.
So a parent, all those who are listening to this share, if you're gonna, and a lot of parents, a lot of us do this, we drink, but we tell our kids that I can drink because I'm an adult, you're not. Or married couples, this I know for a fact. There's a lot of married young couples. They're married 5 years, right? And they have a 2-year-old at home. And they're like, we can watch movies. He's too young to know anyway. And we watch it in our room. And we have it on a portable player or internet, computer. And as long as the children don't know about it, when they get older, we'll stop. But what you don't understand is that if you watch movies, and now your kid's 15, I meet with all parents who come all the time with their 16-year-old daughters to me, or 16-year-old sons, and I keep telling him that the phone's bad for him, the internet's bad for him, the television's bad for him, and he doesn't listen to me. Because the stuff that's coming out of your heart is full of movies. And the stuff that's coming out of your heart is full of cell phones and all the other stuff that you're doing wrong. It's not going to work. It's not going to help him. It's not going to change him. So if you have a 4-year-old kid or a 3-year-old kid, and you're sitting in your bedroom with your wife watching a movie, and then when he's 12, 13-year-old, you're telling him not to watch a movie, it's tainted. It will not work. And if you're drinking, and you tell your children not to drink, it will not work. And if you're not learning, and you're telling your kids, how come you're not learning, it will not work. And if you don't go to Minyan, and then when he's 13, 14, he doesn't want to go to Minyan, and you give him all these speeches, and it doesn't work, because it's from a Yitzim and a leg, what's coming out of your heart, what's coming out of your soul, is tainted. It's not going to work. It cannot work. It will not work. And if it works, it'll only work for a little while, and it'll collapse. So what was I going to do for 10 hours? So I had Sfarim with me. I had Pirkei Machshava, and I want to read you something from the Pirkei Machshava that blew me away. Two things that really, really blew me away, that are extremely, extremely, extremely deep. And I feel that I had the schus to learn this because I didn't watch The Hobbit. I really do. And then I understood what I was learning, and then I found it in this book at this point, and I think that it's something that absolutely mind-boggling, what I'm going to tell you tonight. You're going to go home a different person than you came, for sure. Besides that, I'm telling you that, again, you need to know what you do now, and that's called spiritual DNA. It's what I'm working on. You think you're single and you're watching movies, who cares? When you tell your kids later on, I'm going to be married, not to watch movies, it's not going to work. Wasting your time. If you do tshuva and you stop doing it, then that changes your DNA. It cleans out your soul. And if you really don't do it, but I'm telling you, it was 15 years I didn't watch a movie. What a struggle I had. I had such a struggle. And the thing that saved me is my Talmidim. If I didn't have any students, I surely would have watched the movie. I was like, I'm not giving up helping all these people to watch The Hobbit. I'm just not giving it up. But I know that if I watch this Hobbit, then anytime I'll give a shir about movies, it will not work. Even if it's the best shir in the world, people will walk out, I'm breaking my DVDs. 3 months later, they will fall back, and they won't even know why they fell back. And it's going to be my fault. So a Rebbe, or a friend, when you're telling somebody, or a parent, you have to first clean yourself up before you try to work with other people. Anyway, I want to tell you something fascinating. There were two very big tzaddikim. We know Moshe Rabbeinu, and we're going to learn a little bit about Rabbi Akiva. I found that Rabbi Akiva, Ashrechem Yisrael, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, was one of Rabbi Akiva's 5 main Talmidim. So we sing Ashrechem Yisrael, Amar Rabbi Akiva, right? Ma mikvah matar estameim, Akash Baruch Hu's matar Klal Yisrael. So I want to talk a little bit about Rabbi Akiva. So Moshe Rabbeinu was a tzaddik v'tovlo. I mean, he didn't have such a great life, right? But the bottom line is that he died. He didn't die in pain, Moshe Rabbeinu. He died, Hashem kissed him, right? Rabbi Akiva was one of the Asarei Herugei Malchus. He died in a lot of pain. They raked him with a metal rake. Then they took the pieces of meat from his body and sold it in the marketplace. People bought it because it was a great rabbi's body. So they bought the pieces of his body. Okay. Rabbi Akiva was born to a very humble family from Gerim, not Moshe Rabbeinu, who was born with a light. They're mamish contrast to each other. And we know that he lived very, very poor with his wife Rachel. And at age 40 he began his studies. And the most elementary level, I spoke about this last year, where he actually went to yeshiva and sat with kindergarten kids when he learned the Aleph Beis. Okay. So, when the Romans put him to death, ripping his flesh with iron combs and selling it in the market, so Rabbi Akiva was led to his execution. And it was time to say Kriyat Shema. They were ripping his flesh with iron combs while he was saying Kriyat Shema. So his students, his Talmidim, said to him, "You're such a big tzaddik to this extent that you're smiling. They're ripping your flesh with iron combs, and you're dying and you're smiling." So he said, "My whole life I was pained by the verse, love Hashem with all your life, right? Even if Hashem takes your life. And I always wondered, will I ever have the opportunity to fulfill it? Now I have the opportunity to fulfill it with joy." So it says that he died when he said the word Echad, and at the end of Echad, he died. And a Baskol came out of Shemayim and said, "Rabbi Akiva, your neshama passed away with the word Echad." Okay. Chazal says the following story. Rabbi Yehuda, it's a Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rav, when Moshe Rabbeinu came to Shemayim to get the Torah, the 40 days he went up, he found that Hashem was sitting, and it's a whole story, it's a beautiful story. I don't know if you ever learned this medrash. I think I learned it before Shavuos always. That Moshe Rabbeinu was waiting at the door. He didn't walk in. No, he walked in, and Hashem said, "Those are human beings, don't they knock before they walk in?" So, right, whatever it was. And Moshe Rabbeinu, we'll learn it before Shavuos. Moshe Rabbeinu gave Hashem an answer, but before the king, whatever it was. Anyway, so he walks in and he sees Hashem is doing, if you ever get an aliyah, you see on top of the letters, these little crowns, right? So, Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem, "Why are you doing that? Why don't you just write regular letters without the crowns?" So HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered Moshe Rabbeinu then, that was in Moshe Rabbeinu's time, right? He was in Shemayim, that there will be a certain person after many generations. His name will be Akiva ben Yosef, and he will interpret mounds and piles of halachas on each and every, they're called a kotes. The little things on top of the letters are called kotsim. You know what kotsim are? Thorns. Right? They look like little thorns. So,
Separate from the Torah?
what?
It's separate from the Torah, right? Those are the little
crowns. There's no targum in the Torah.
What?
There's no targum.
Targum?
There's no targum. There's no munach. Oh, this is called the coats. I don't know. I think it's the top, the little top piece there. It looks like a thorn. That's what it's called. It's called the coats. Thorn. This refers to the ornamental crowns and points that decorate the Torah scrolls letters.
They didn't have that at the time Moshe Rabbeinu was around? That's what I had a hard time understanding.
No. Hashem was doing it. At that time he didn't get the Torah yet. It was being finished up there. He came up. Right? Hashem was writing. Hashem was putting the crowns on the Torah. He didn't give the Torah yet to bring down. He came up for 40 days.
Right.
So the Torah was written without the crowns. Hashem was sitting there doing the crowns. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, "What are you doing crowns for?" Hashem said, "Akiva, which was Rabbi Akiva, will interpret these crowns. So that's why I'm doing it." So Moshe said to Hashem, "Show me the future. I want to see what he looks like." So Hashem said to him, "You have to go back. You have to step back." So why? He went in, and Rabbi Akiva's neshama didn't come down to this world yet. It was in Yeshiva Shel Ma'ala, and every Tana had his own yeshiva. So Moshe had to sit 8 rows back. Listen to this. This is, right? He had to sit 8 rows back in the yeshiva Rabbi Akiva. He didn't sit in the front row. He sat 8 rows back. And he sat there and he didn't understand a word that Rabbi Akiva was saying. So he felt faint. Moshe Rabbeinu was sitting in yeshiva. He doesn't understand the Rebbe. Rebbe's Rabbi Akiva. Until they came to a certain subject, and Rabbi Akiva, the students asked him, Rabbi Akiva, asked him a question, how do you know this? And Rabbi Akiva said to them, it's halacha Moshe Sinai. It's halacha that we learned from Moshe at Sinai. So then Moshe recovered his strength. So Moshe Rabbeinu went back to Hashem.
Was there any significance that he set 8 rows back?
We're going to see. Moshe went back to Hashem, and he said to him, Master of the world, if you have such a person like Rabbi Akiva, I can give a share that I don't understand, which means he's greater than me, then why are you giving the Torah through me? Give it through him. He's greater than me. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, quiet, this is what I decided. It's very hard to understand, right? So Moshe Rabbeinu said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Master of the world, you've shown me Rabbi Akiva's Torah. I realize I don't understand what he's saying. Now show me his reward. What's his reward for this? Hashem said, okay, go back. Moshe went back. And they saw that his reward was they were selling Rabbi Akiva's flesh in the market. So Moshe Rabbeinu said to Hashem, Master of the world, this is the Torah, Zu Torah v'Zu Zecharia. This is the Torah, this is its reward. And Hashem again said to him, be quiet, that's what I have decided. So the question is, Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem a question, he didn't answer him. 2 questions actually, Hashem didn't answer him. So the answer is that Rabbi Akiva lived in the times of the Romans when they destroyed everything. He suffered very badly. He had a terrible life. He was poor. He didn't know how to learn until he was 40. So he says, Rabbi Akiva, his whole Torah Shabbat Peh, he was Torah Shabbat Peh, Moshe Rabbeinu was Torah Shabbat Ksav. Right? The written Torah, Moshe was the written Torah, and Rabbi Akiva was the oral Torah. He says that, what's a coats? What was Hashem doing on the crowns that Rabbi Akiva could interpret, that Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't interpret? A coats means a thorn. A thorn means pain and suffering. So, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was saying, that Rabbi Akiva came to his greatness through pain and suffering. You came to your greatness through the opposite. Therefore,
what's the opposite?
He was the prince of Egypt. He wasn't born to a ger. He was born to... He did, but not on Rabbi Akiva's level. He didn't die by being whipped to pieces.
No, before he got great,
He suffered a little bit, not like Rabbi Akiva suffered, no.
With the wife,
he left his wife. He lost 24,000 students. He went through a very hard time. So that's the deep translation. When Moshe Rabbeinu went to his yeshiva, he didn't understand suffering because he didn't go through that kind of suffering. To reach that level, and he doesn't say why the 8th row, but I'm thinking.
Oh, he did see the Egel, so that was pretty.
No, but he didn't suffer. No, Akiva's generation suffered.
No, but he raised the.
Yeah, but we're talking about suffering. So the kites. So Hashem was saying, I'm doing this kite. This is for Rabbi Akiva to understand. You don't understand it because this is coming through pain. And Moshe, in fact, did not understand the Torah of Rabbi Akiva. But Rabbi Akiva and his generation, because they were Torah Shabbat Peh, had to learn Torah Shabbat Ksav. So when Moshe was sitting in the yeshiva, he felt very weak. I don't understand them. I don't understand what it means to go through this in pain. But then when he heard that they only have their Torah because he had his Torah, because they were mentioning something that was from Moshe from Sinai, right? So then he got his koyach back. Now listen to this. So what does this mean, go back? This is all very, very deep stuff. So what are you telling Moshe Rabbeinu to go back? What do you mean go back? He went forward. He didn't go back. Rabbi Akiva lived later. What he showed Moshe Rabbeinu was later, not backwards. So he said that that's not what Hashem was telling Moshe. Hashem was telling Moshe Rabbeinu, for you to understand Rabbi Akiva, you're on the, Moshe Rabbeinu was on the 49th level of Kedusha. So everything was very transparent glass to him. He could not understand connecting to Hashem through pain. He had to come, because he was on such a high level, right? So to understand that Hashem was telling him, you have to go back. You have to go into in Tzaddik Viralo, and you have to go into Torah Sheba'al Peh. Now he brings down a story here. He brings down the story like this.
Is that why he sat in the 8th row? Because of the realm of pain?
I think the 8th row maybe is above Teva. We know that the 8 is above Teva. 7 is till 7 is Teva. 8 is above Teva. So I'm just thinking, he doesn't say it here, I'm just thinking that for Moshe Rabbeinu to understand that a tzaddik viraloi is connected to Hashem through pain, that's not Teva. Teva pulls you away, pain pulls you away from the person who's causing who you're getting the pain from. So that whole, he had to sit in a row of above Teva.
Why was Rabbi Akiva tzaddik viralo? He was perfection in a different realm.
He was right. That's a different realm. I'm going to tell you.
Why is it relevant?
No, he went through pain. We can't.
One was going through pain.
He was going through crazy, but he died saying Shema. Moshe Rabbeinu died with a kiss on his mouth. He died saying Shema, having his skin raped. So he says an unbelievable story here. He says, so you think that's okay, Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva could do it on that level. He says they did it in the Holocaust, and he says a story here that he says a group of tattered Jews in a Nazi-occupied ghetto returned from a day of forced labor. The night of the 15th of Nisan, which was Pesach night, was a Seder night. They didn't have 4 cups, and they didn't have matzah, but they had plenty of bitter herbs, right, and tears for salt water. And their lavish Seder couches were wooden planks. They had a small slice of bread, each one of them. And they were obligated to eat it in order to live. You're allowed to eat chametz on Pesach if you're going to die, right? So he says the Seder did not begin with making Kiddush, because they had no wine. So it began with halach ma'anya. This is the bread of affliction, right? Like our forefathers were under the terrible taskmaker, right? They had skimpy rations of bread, so these guys only had bread. So they sat and told the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim. This is not Rabbi Akiva's days. This is how many years ago? 70 years ago, right? When they reached Moitzi Matzah, the Jews took out the slice of chametz from their bags and began to recite L'Shem Yichud. They composed a special prayer for this rare and awesome occasion. Master of the world, it is revealed and known to you that our will is to do your will, to eat a kezayis of matzah on this night. As you commanded us in your Torah, in the evening you shall eat matzahs. But you commanded us a greater mitzvah, the mitzvah, and you shall live by them. And keeping the mitzvah should bring us life, not death. L'shem yichud kutsha b'richa shchinte. We are ready and willing to fulfill the positive mitzvah, and you shall live by them, and not to die by them. They recited Kiddush over the bread, blessed hamotzi, and ate a kezayis of matzah. On this Seder night, God was there with them. For only He and no other being is capable of understanding such a sight. To recite L'Shem Yichud on a Seder night over a piece of bread. To say, and you gave us Hashem our God with love, the festival of matzahs on a slice of bread. A Seder of this type was not witnessed neither by the Nevi'im or by the Tanam. Only Hashem Himself was there to see it. And there the Jewish people found Him. There the Jewish people broke through all the barriers and discovered that I, hiding within the eye, shall surely hide. So, not only did this happen by Rabbi Akiva, but the Jews died, and many Jews died, millions of Jews died with the word echad on their lips, in the crematoriums and in the gas chambers. And Moshe Rabbeinu this was not something he could fathom. Because he was on such a high level. He was on a level of simcha and not yisurim, of toiv. He couldn't fathom this. This is Rabbi Akiva's world. And this is what blew me away. I was on the plane, and I Mamash got up, and I went over to my wife, and I said, there's two stories. This story and the next story. I said, I have to tell you this. It was the reward for not watching The Hobbit. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The Medrash says the following: when Moshe Rabbeinu died, was supposed to die, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to the angel Gabriel, bring me Moshe's soul, bring me his neshama. And the Malach Gabriel said to Hashem, I can't take the soul, I can't bear the death of Moshe Rabbeinu, who is equal to 600,000 men. I can't take his soul. So Hashem said, okay, Malach Michal, go bring me the soul of Moshe. Michal said, Hashem, I was his teacher. When he came to Shemayim for those 40 days, he was my student. I cannot take the soul of my student. Okay? So I've read you the Medrash. He sent down the Malchamavas, and Moshe Rabbeinu burnt him. He couldn't go near him. So finally Hashem said, okay, I'll get the soul. So he came to Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem, and he said to the soul, my daughter, I let you have 120 years. I let you be in the body of Moshe Rabbeinu. Now it's time to come out. Leave his body. And the neshama told Hashem, Master of the world, I know that you are God of all spirits and souls. And I know that all the souls are in your hands. You created me, you formed me, you placed me in the body of Moshe for 120 years. Now is there a more pure body in the world than Moshe? This is why I love it, and I do not want to leave it. Hashem said to her, to the soul, O soul, go out and do not tarry. I will elevate you to the highest heavens. I will place you under my throne. And the neshama said, no, I don't want to leave. So at that time, I read this to you always before Shavuos. At that time, Hashem kissed Moshe, took his soul with a kiss of the mouth. And the Holy One, blessed he, so to speak, was crying and said, who will arise on my behalf against the evildoers? Who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? And then a Baskol came out and said, there never will arise a prophet, a Navi in Israel like Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe represents Tzaddik V'Toivloi, Tzaddik who prospers. He left the world through a kiss from the mouth of Hashem. His neshama, containing within it the entire people of Israel. When Moshe passed away, Hashem kissed the Jewish people. Because it says that Moshe Rabbeinu, it's brought down in a few Kabbalistic Svarim, that you cannot learn a word of Torah, and the only reason you can learn a word of Torah is that everybody in this room, every Jewish person, has a nitzitz, has a spark of Moshe Rabbeinu's soul. So when Hashem kissed Moshe Rabbeinu's and sucked out his soul, so that soul is in all of us. So we sort of all got a kiss. We all got a neshika from Hashem. Okay? Now, there's a kasha. In the first pasuk, second pasuk in Shir Hasher, Yishakeni min shikais piu kitov dedecha miyayin. Your kisses, the kisses from your mouth, are better than the best wine. It says kisses. There's only one kiss. Now, even though the Medrash says that Hashem also kissed Miriam when she died, the Medrash says that the Torah can't say that because it's not sneas. Hashem kissed a nekeva, whatever it is, whatever that means. But Lemaisa in the Torah it doesn't say that. The Torah only says that Moshe Rabbeinu got kissed. So what is Shlomo Melech talking about? What's Shlomo Melech talking about? That there are two kisses, there was only one kiss. Right?
Include Aaron. Hashem kissed Aaron.
Let me tell you what the Vilna Gaon says. Wow, this is crazy. It's not like.
Well, why would you compare kisses to wine if they lead to death? I don't understand.
No, it's just an expression. Shlomo Melech's expression. First of all, a kiss from Hashem to take the soul is not death. He said, I'm taking you to a much higher level. It's not the death of the soul, it's the death of the body. Big deal. It's not the death of the soul.
So, it's just an expression.
What's an expression? It says, as beautiful as, right? So he says, unbelievable. Listen to what he says. He says, Tzadik v'toiv loi. Hashem kisses you. Tzadik v'ra loi. You kiss Hashem. So he says, Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem kissed him. And in turn, Moshe Rabbeinu kissed Hashem. The initiation of the kiss came from God. So everything was good. But a person who has a bad life, and he goes through what Rabbi Akiva went through, and Rabbi Akiva says that I can't wait to die by giving my life to Hashem. I can't wait to die with the word echad, right? So who's kissing who? Hashem's not kissing him. What does that mean? I think it just means someone's calling. What? It's what?
It's maybe the phone realized.
It's going. It's 4134. It's going.
It's not right.
No, I think it just means someone's calling in. No?
No, because that's from Kabbalah. That's the music they play when you're on hold. I'm serious.
So how's it getting in there?
Maybe the phone.
Okay, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's working. It's working. Anyway, you hear this? So if everything's good in your life, and that's your relationship with God, so Hashem's kissing you, okay, you kiss him back. When things are bad, and you're still connected to Hashem, and you're ready to die for Hashem, and you still see Hashem, even in the pain, you're kissing him. That's the second kiss, says Wallerstein. There's two kisses. There's Moshe Rabbeinu's kiss, where Hashem kissed Moshe Rabbeinu, and there's Rabbi Akiva's kiss, which is even greater. Moshe Rabbeinu said, why did you give the Torah through him? He's greater than me. He's kissing you. He's initiating the kiss. Hashem said, that's my business. It's not your business. Do you understand what it's saying over here? What an unbelievable thing. So yes, it's very good when things are good and you're close to Hashem, and Hashem's kissing you and hugging you. But when things are bad, and you're still a Jew, and you're still keeping the Torah, and you're still keeping the mitzvahs, and you're still saying no to the Hobbit, and you're still saying no to all the things that you want to enjoy, and it's hard, and it's painful, and it's Mesiras Nefesh, you're hugging and kissing Hashem. You're initiating the kiss. Hashem kisses you back. Rabbi Akiva was greater, said Moshe Rabbeinu. Because Baruch said, you sit 8 rows back. Rabbi Akiva is greater. Doing Mesiras Nefesh. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu said. Moshe Rabbeinu said, I want to see who this is. And that was the kaitzim. Those were the thorns that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was drawing on the letters. That's one story. And now I'm going to tell you something, another story which is mind-boggling. That the rabbi who wrote this book, Rabbi Israel Tauber, Pekin and Machshava, tells a story. Tells the story about his mother. And he says the following. He says before the Second World War, they lived in Pressburg, Czechoslovakia. He was the oldest born in the family. He was born before the war. The Germans conquered the country in 1940 and began sending people to Auschwitz. He said, we lived in Czechoslovakia until 1942. Then they fled to Hungary. Then the Germans got Hungary in 1944. They fled again. And she had, his mother, how many children did she have? How many children did she have? You have to hear this, is not normal. So his mother got pregnant. Then she was in the advanced stages of pregnancy, expecting his sister. And people would ask her, why are you trying to have more children during the Holocaust? I mean, like, you're having more children so the Germans would have more people to kill? Well, during the Holocaust, why would someone have children get pregnant during the Holocaust? So they would ask her. Why are you trying to have more children in these difficult days when your family is running like mice from one hiding place to another? So his mother would answer with one sentence: we are Jews who are obligated to fulfill our responsibilities and do what we are commanded. Hashem will do what He wishes to do. Okay. So Hashem did his part. His mother Taka lived, but his sister was born in Auschwitz and she died. He says, my parents didn't talk much after the war about what they went through. But I used to ask them, he said, about their gruesome days. Now listen to this. This is beyond anybody's comprehension, and it just hurts me because we're so far from this. His mother was a plain woman, and you're talking 1945. So how many years ago is that? 70? 68 years ago. So we're not talking about in times of the Gemara. Listen to this. So he said, I once asked my mother, Mama, did you really think we'd survive the war? So that during the war you enlarged the family and gave birth to 4 more children during the war? During the war. So he said, where did you get the strength to bring children into the world and care for them at a time when Jews were being preoccupied with finding some food and saving themselves from the Nazis? What could she answer? He's asking her an unbelievable question. He's saying to her, first of all, you put us all in danger because you're having children. You have to share the food that we're finding with other children, number one. Number two, why are you having children? They're killing children. Why are you having children? Listen to what she answered him. My saintly mother answered me with her wisdom of life. We are Jews. We believe in Tchias HaMesim. A child is not your child just in this world. He remains your child for eternity. What's she answering? His mother answered the following. His mother said, what's the difference if the child lives or dies? That's not up to me if the Nazis are going to kill them or not. But if you bring a child into the world, once the neshama comes in a body to the world for 1 second, that body has the right to come back to Tchias HaMesim and be in Olam Haba in the next world. But if you don't bring the neshama down to this world, it never has Tchias HaMesim, and it never has a chance to live in Olam Haba. So it's not my problem whether the child lives or dies. Because either way, whether it lives or dies, once I give birth, that child, that neshama, will come back in Tchias HaMesim, and we'll have a chance, a ticket, to be in the next world in Olam Haba. But if I don't bring the child down to the world, that neshama is stuck. It'll never get down here. It'll never have the Olam Haba. I went nuts. I went running to my wife. I'm like, Esther, you have to hear this. Did you hear what this woman was? She was having babies, running away from the Nazis. Why? So you killed my kids. But guess what? I'm going to win in the end. Because he's going to come back. And he's going to be in the next world. But if I don't have a child, then I killed that child. I killed that chance of that neshama coming to the world. That I'm not allowed to do. I have to have children. What Hashem does, Hashem does. Says Rabbi Zviel Tauber on his mother. She knew how to kiss Hashem. She knew how to kiss Hashem. She knew how to initiate the kiss. In the greatest pain, in the Holocaust, having infants, having babies on the run, and watching them die. In Auschwitz, she lost her daughter. And still saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I believe in you. That's Rabbi Akiva. That's the kiss that we initiate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe Rabbeinu said, why me? Why are you giving the Torah through me when you have such people? People that are initiating the kiss to Hashem because they're in pain and it doesn't make a difference. They're still connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Hobbit at that point looked very little. He looked like a teeny little Hobbit. I was going to watch a movie. Hashem would have never given me this present. I would have never gotten this present. It's absolutely mind-boggling. It's not 1,000 years ago. It's not Rachel Imenu. It's not Sarah Imenu. She said, when did she die? She just died not long ago. Now, I talk a lot about what? Right, exactly.
Right.
No, but all the children died. Just one of them, or they all 49?
What? No, just the girl died. No, they made it. Made it. His mother didn't die long ago. Okay. So I want to tell you one more thing, and then I'm not going to get a chance to learn the Zecharia next week. It's amazing. No, this maybe I'll learn it this week because this Zecharia is so beautiful. It is so beautiful. I learned this on. I have to learn it this week. I'm going to learn it with you this week. I just want to tell you one other thing. What I want to tell you. I hate to do this, and I'm doing this specifically tonight, but I need to do it. And as much as it hurts, I need to do it. So, I want to talk a lot. I want to write a book about Akar Satov, and I have a dinner next week, Wednesday night. Or Nava dinner. A Teres Nava, or Nava, BCA. Wherever I went in Israel, people came over to, Rabbi Wallerstein. I went to seminaries and played, Wallerstein, you changed my life, you changed my wife's life, you changed my children's life. I wasn't keeping anything, and because of you, I get this all day and all night. It's very nice. Beautiful. What do you mean? In my next world, it's a game changer. I'm making a dinner. I don't have money. Our Nava is very close to closing. Some people will be very happy when I close our Nava. People don't like success. You know why people go to the Indy 500? Why do you go to the Indy 500? You're going to watch a car go around the track 500 times? What are you, stupid? Right? Because deep down in the subconscious of a person, he wants to see a guy crash really bad. Otherwise, what are you standing there for? If you knew that they would go around all 500 times and nobody would crash, nobody would come. They're hoping for that big crash where 13 cars are flying in the air, right? And the guy who won last year, he should die. There's a certain part of us that doesn't like success by others.
You really think that there's animosity?
It's not animosity. It's part of a human being. It's not animosity. It's not animosity. It's just part of us. The whole programming of television today, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, the getting kicked off the island, the Miss Universe. The enjoyment is not who's Miss Universe. The enjoyment is watching the 10 become 5, the 5 become 3, the 3 become 1, and everybody getting kicked off and left with 1. That's the godless. The godless is in all these television things which people, mamash, are dying to watch, right? They figured out that people like to see other people embarrassed. The Bachelor, right? They'd like to see them get thrown off the island, get not chosen, right? And yet, I'm glad because she's more beautiful than me. And look, he didn't like her. Now I feel better. That's human. It's human nature. Anyway, I'll tell you this. So success breeds contempt. Okay, so I have this dinner, and it's not happening. Today is Wednesday. It's Tuesday. It's in a week. We have 100 reservations, but I'm saving thousands of people. Where are they? All these people that send me emails, that call me, help me this, help me that, do this, do that. Where are they? Phones are dead. No one's calling. Okay.
You know about it?
So we sent out 20,000 invitations. So yesterday, I have to say I'm a human being, even though I try to work on myself. I had like a pretty open sore, like a wound that was hurt, that I'm sitting a week before a dinner of an organization that's the only one of its kind in the world to help girls, people's daughters and people's wives and do what we do, and just nobody's interested in helping us. So I was very down yesterday. I have to be honest, I was very down. So I get into my car and I get a phone call. Hashem's my witness. I don't usually pick up my phone if I don't know who it is. I let it go to the message, then I listen, then I call back. If I call back, try to. I picked it up. Hi, is this Rabbi Wallerstein? I'm like, yes. Could I have a couple of minutes of your time? I was going to say, like, did you take an ad in the dinner? If you didn't, I don't want to talk to you. You didn't take an ad in the dinner, I'm not interested in talking to you. What am I, right? Free therapy? For 1 hour, I know a guy, he's a life coach. He's taking $250 So I'll give you an hour, take an ad, $2.50. Give you a half a page, you know? So I was in that mood. I was not in a good place. And I said, yeah, I have time. I was driving home.
Even though you didn't.
So, no, it was a girl. I wasn't going to say that to her. So she says, Rabbi Wallerstein, I have a big problem. I said, go ahead, what's your problem? She says, I have a very good friend, and I kill myself for her. And I helped her work with her business, I help her with her family, I help her all the time. She never says thank you. She says, I don't want to do it anymore. I just feel like I'm being used. And she's now talking to me about my feelings. This is like the weirdest thing, right? She's talking to me about my feelings. Like, just feel like people use you, and when it comes to when you need them, they're not around, right? And now I have to answer her. So really, Hashem's forcing me to answer myself. This is like wild. So she says, I don't want to do it anymore. Is that okay if I don't do it anymore? I just feel I'm being abused. She has no hakar satov to me at all. I'm like, that's weird. I'm feeling the same way. Right? I said, let me tell you a story. I said, I want to tell you a story. A true story that happened to me. The girl in all the years of my chinuch, this was a long time ago when I had more time and more energy. There's one girl that I took her from being a street, I don't want to say what, and I mamish gave her my life at that point. She would call me at 2 o'clock at night. She's killing herself. I got up. She's doing that. I got up. I didn't sleep that whole year. I didn't sleep. And mamish took her like more than my daughter. And I worked with her, and she failed, and she grew, and she failed, and she grew. And I grew with her, and I learned how to deal with girls through her, because she was the first girl that I ever dealt with. And I put a lot of work into this kid. And then she got engaged to get married. She said, Rabbi, you know me, and I could leave the wedding before it starts. I could panic. You have to be there a half an hour before the reception, before the beginning of the wedding. I need just to see you. I won't go over to you. I just need to know you're there, or I might not make it. I'm like, you have my word. I got you this far. I promised you I'm taking you down to the chuppah. I promised you I'll be there for you. I will be there. I'm not going to work. I'll be there. And I really gave mysterious nefesh. I mamish didn't sleep nights. I can't even tell you the crazy stories I had with this girl. Okay. So, I leave an hour before, let's say the reception's at 6. I leave at 5. I get onto the FDR drive. And halfway in the middle of the FDR drive, traffic stops. Okay, happens. Half an hour. I put on the radio, car fire. There's a car fire on the FDR drive north. FDR drive is closed. Fire engines have to come from this side. From that side, they had actually boats on the East River spritzing onto the FDR drive. Oil spill, fire, forget about it. I missed her reception. I missed her chuppah. I showed up at the wedding in the middle of the first dance. I sat in that car. I said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I don't understand you. I give my life to this kid. This kid's depending on me. What are you doing? Now the funny thing is I could have gone the West Side Highway. In the last second I made a decision at the tunnel to go FDR Drive. Had I gone the West Side Highway, I would have been there no problem. I understand. That's how you reward me? And what you did to her? Okay. I come to the wedding. I get in the middle of the first dance. So I danced with the chassan, and he was like, Rabbi Wallerstein, she's beyond herself. She's not beyond herself. I said, I called her. I told her, I check the news tomorrow. I'm not making up a story. I was stuck on there. He was like, no, we know, but it could have been a big disaster. Anyway, I walk up to her. They finished dancing. She's sitting there. The first course, they're sitting there, whatever. I walk up to her and I'm like, I apologize. And she has this look on her face like, I said, I was on that FDR drive, called my wife at 5 o'clock. I was ready. I would have been here. Hashem didn't want. I don't know why. I can't tell you why.
I can't.
I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so I sat down, I was very upset. I was a little bit upset at God, I'll tell you the truth. Like, what are you doing? This is my girl. I gave my whole life to her. Well, I can't come to her wedding? You don't let me come to her wedding? I sat there sitting and eating. I'm like, I know why. I know why. I got up, I went back there and said, she got off the table. I said, I have to talk to you. Let's go. I remember I walked to the back of where her chair was. It was like a mechitza. I said, I know why this happened. She said, why? I said, I'll tell you the truth. I really did this mitzvah with my whole heart. I took you in like my daughter. You know that. She says, yes. I'm like, I would have come to the wedding. All you would be talking about is, Wallerstein did this, Wallerstein did this, Wallerstein is here, Wallerstein come here. I said, you were giving me the last bracha. I was going to walk down to the chuppah. Everybody was going to stand up. I was going to get covered. Everyone would say, why is he getting the last bracha? Because he changed her life. I said, I would have come up to Shemayim, and I would have gotten schar, but I wouldn't have gotten a whole schar. It would have been maybe half. Because my enjoyment of being the man and getting all that covered would have taken away from my reward. Hashem said, you did this mitzvah. You did this mitzvah so whole, I'm going to make sure that you get no enjoyment. So that the mitzvah in the next world is complete. I said, if you're Michael, what happened, then I will get the complete mitzvah. Aren't you happy after everything I did that I'm going to get purely 100%, not 80%? She said, if that's the truth, I'm happy. Why am I telling you this? I told this to this girl last night. I said, listen to me carefully. This is the Satan. And this is the Satan working on your Rebbe the same way. If you stop now helping this girl, what's the Satan going to say to Hashem? He's going to say like this. If she was doing the mitzvah of Gemilas Chesed for this girl because you gave the mitzvah Hashem, why'd she stop? Who cares if someone says thank you or not? Is mashma that she stopped. So why did she stop? Because she wasn't getting a thank you. Which means that the only reason she was doing it was for the thank you. I said, this is the test. And if you stop, you're going to lose all the chesed you did before, because you didn't do that for Hashem. You did that because you wanted to get a thank you. Hashem wants to give you the mitzvah complete. So this person, you were led to a person who would give you no hakar satov. So in the next world, if you keep doing it, why do you keep doing it? Not to get a thank you, not to get appreciation. She doesn't say thank you. She doesn't appreciate it. So that you're getting a whole mitzvah. So Hashem gave you a chance to do a whole mitzvah. So she's like, Wallerstein, I'm glad I called you. I'm done. I'm going back. I'm not going to stop. I want the whole mitzvah. And I hung up and I said to her, thank you very much for calling me, because I have to listen to what I just said to her. And I said to myself like this: if you're going to close on Ava, because people are not helping you, because people are not thanking you, because people are not showing up, then that shows that all the stuff you did till now was because people thank you, and people show up, and people give you cover. So just the opposite. That they're not making reservations to the dinner, that they're not giving you money, and you're still going to go and help the world, shows that you're not doing it for the thank you. You're not doing it because you want people to appreciate it. You're doing it because you want to save Hashem's children. So just the opposite. If nobody shows up at the dinner, mazel tov. Just the opposite. Now, for the other people, it's your problem that there's no hakar satov. They have to answer for that. But for me, and I'm telling this to this girl, and I'm saying, yesterday, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had a girl call me, so I should give her musar, so I should hear my own musar. And I shouldn't let it bother me. Godless. Let's all go out there tonight and give Hashem a kiss. Let's tell him how much we love him, no matter what our life, no matter what's going on in our life. For the kiss you give Hashem is greater than the kiss he gives you. When Hashem initiates the kiss, that was Moshe Rabbeinu. When we initiate the kiss, that's Rabbi Akiva. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why isn't he giving the Torah? He's greater than I am. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that even after the Torah is written, the beautiful Torah is written. And it's written for Moshe Rabbeinu. And the letters are beautiful. It's so deep. Hashem said it's not finished. It's not finished. It's not beautiful. So Hashem was sitting there writing the koitzim. He said, for Torah to be beautiful, it's not just living life good and letting me kiss you. The perfect Torah, the finished Torah, Hashem says, that's what I'm doing right now, Moshe Rabbeinu. I'm finishing those letters. I'm putting pain on those letters. I'm putting koitzim. I'm putting thorns on those letters. And when I finish putting all the thorns on the letters, then the Sefer Torah is kosher. Then the Sefer Torah is finished. And there will be a man one day, his name is Rabbi Akiva, who will be able to understand and write heaps and heaps of understanding of Torah on those thorns. You can't do it, Moshe Rabbeinu. You don't have a hard life. You don't have what he had. You had a hard life, but nothing like Rabbi Akiva had. So the Torah to be complete is when the Jew gives God the kiss, when the Jew initiates the kiss to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the true kiss. And that was the kiss that Rabbi Akiva gave. And that was the kiss that Rabbi Zriel Tauber's mother gave to HaKadosh Baruch Hu by saying that even though it's in the Holocaust and I'm on the run, I need to have children while I'm on the run. Because if I bring children into this world, even if they die, they have Olam Haba and Tchias HaMesim. But if I don't bring children into this world, the neshama will never have a chance to be in Olam Haba. I am going to bring neshamas into this world that will have the ability to have Olam Haba, even if they die after a minute, after a day. And he says, just to show you the power of spiritual DNA, that Rabbi Zriel Tauber himself, right? So Rabbi Zriel Tauber himself has a son. He writes it in his book. It's amazing that he writes it. He says he has a son. Listen to this. He says, one of my sons was expecting his third child. We were all looking forward to good news. One morning my son called me and said to me, Tati, I deserve a mazel tov. I asked about the baby. My son answered, Tati, a child with a special and elevated soul was born to us. It took him a half an hour in this world to accomplish what it takes other people 90 years. He completed his mission and went back up to Olam HaEmes. And this is what the Torah says. Whatever happens to you, accept it with the most innocent wholeheartedness. So this woman was the grandmother of Rabbi Zriel Tauber's son, who had a baby that lived for half an hour. And when he told his father, he says, I get a mazel tov. He says, my son lived for half an hour. He did what it takes people 90 years. No pain, no crying, no nothing. He'll be back. He'll be back. He'll go to Olam Haba. I brought him into the world. Bottom line is, I brought him into the world. We should all be zeicha to be kissed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to see Tchias HaMesim and Mashiach. Yimheir b'yameinu amen.